All right, guys. I'm so happy. This next man has put together an incredible 7-fight win streak in the lightweight division. He looks to make it 8 as he takes on Mateusz Gamrot at UFC 280, the ultra-stacked UFC 280. But is he still the backup fighter for the main event if something falls apart? Here to talk about that and a lot of other things, Beneil Dariush. Welcome to Submission Radio. Tech issues aside, thanks to our good friends at NordVPN saving the day. Here you are, crystal clear on Skype. Welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Pleasure to be on the show. Doing great. Again, like you said, thank you, NordVPN, man. They really saved their butts on this one.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, it's a crazy one. We had no idea that apparently there's some restrictions over there. So happy to see you, man, in video. And by the way, like, this isn't, I got to find out from you, like, the Nord thing, this isn't the only, like, sort of acclimation issue that I suppose you've had going over there. I know we were texting you early on and you were having some problems sleeping and getting used to the time difference. Tell us, man, how are you feeling now? And are you basically like just a local by this point?
I wish. I mean, as far as the food goes, I'm a local. I can tell you all the good spots, but as far as sleep goes, man, today's going to be the first day where I actually get normal sleep, where I'm sleeping at night instead of sleeping at like 3 p.m. and then waking up at 9 and then going back to sleep at like 4 a.m., which, I mean, it's not the worst. I don't sleep much anyways back home, so it kind of works out.
Okay, cool. So this isn't the craziest thing that sort of happened heading into a fight. And you got about a week now. You got a little bit of time, so you kind of relax now about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, sleep was never really a big thing for me. I think for the Tony Ferguson fight, I was getting like 3-4 hours a day.
Oof.
And we actually thought there was something wrong with me, so we went and did the EKG, and it came out abnormal. So my wife was freaking out. I was like, I think everything's fine. As soon as the fight was over, I got a little bit fat. I started getting out of shape, and then we went back and did the testing again, and everything was fine. It just, once I get in really good shape, it gets harder for me to sleep for some reason.
Yeah, too much of a Terminator, you know, you're just there to annihilate the division. Hey, I was wondering, dude, like, when it comes to fighting over there, though, what time will you be fighting?
So here, I think I'm going to fight exactly around 10:30. If the show goes the way I think it is, because it starts at 10, the pay-per-view. I know there's a fight before me, and they always do 30-minute sessions. So, like, if there's a fight at 10, the next one will be at 10:30, no matter how quickly the fight ends. Just the way they do it. They like to make the pay-per-view run its course.
So that's 10:30 in the morning or at night?
Night.
Okay, cool.
No, I wouldn't mind morning because I typically feel my best in the morning, but I don't think that's what they're doing.
Sounds like you got to fight.
Come fight. Yeah, I was going to say in Australia, Perth card starts at like 5 in the morning.
You know what's funny? You know, I've been to a lot of places. The only place where I actually feel like a celebrity is Australia. There is a ridiculous amount of Assyrians in Australia, and I didn't realize how big it was. So I was in, where was I? I was in, not Sydney. Where's the other
Melbourne?
one? Why am I forgetting right now? Melbourne.
Yeah.
I was in Melbourne, and I went there for a seminar, and I was like, you know, just showed up for a seminar. I've done seminars before, no big deal. I showed up there. There was 100 people on the mat, but there's 200 people waiting outside, and I had never seen anything like that for me before. And it's funny because Assyrians were like a small community, so it was like a bunch of grandmas and grandpas over there, and they would like say hi. And the thing is, like, in my culture, you can't say no to them. Like, whatever they ask, you're supposed to do. So, like, I'm in the middle of teaching, and then they're just like, "Hey, come here." I would like come over. They'd be like, "Can you take a picture with me right now?" I was like, I have to. Okay, I'll take the picture. So it was really interesting experience. I've never felt like that anywhere. Also, I think Australia has the best coffee.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is how we function at these 6 a.m. interviews, man. If this is another country, we probably would have forgotten our names by this point. And by the way, man, like, can you imagine how many Syrians are going to be there next time, especially if you end up rocking up with that title? There's going to be so
Yeah,
many older ladies and older men asking you in the middle of a seminar to take photos that you're never going to be able to get started.
well, this was a while ago, so I wasn't. I don't know if I was even ranked back then. So imagine if I just go back now. It's weird because, like in California, like I'll go to Costco or I'll go somewhere shopping, and once in a blue moon, someone will recognize me and be like, "Hey, can I get a picture or something?" But like over there, I was like, what is this?" So I would love to fight in Australia. I don't care if I have to fight 6 a.m. Just to know like I'm fighting in front of my people. That would be something different.
Yeah, well, they like to bring local fighters for these local events. So when they bring in the Tier 2 of us, as the Rob Whitakers, the Beneil Dariush, he's a local fighter around these parts. All right.
I got. They probably have no clue about that.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, let's address the elephant in the room, man. Obviously, we see the Alex Volkanovski seems to be the official backup fighter for the main event. I'm curious, man, what was your reaction to the news and how did you take this all? Because I know that it was about, I think last week, that you were still believing that you were the backup fighter.
Well, at first I was genuinely confused, and then I was pretty pissed, and then I started just kind of thinking about it, and I mean, I'm still kind of I'm annoyed about it. I'm kind of butthurt, but it makes sense if you think about it. So it was never like a written agreement, right? That I was going to be the backup, but they said basically they're going to have me on the card fighting Mateusz. If something goes wrong, they'll put me in, and I was like, great. And then a guy like Volkanovski, who's currently, I believe, #1 pound for pound, wants to volunteer and jump on that. It makes sense on their part. They're like, oh yeah, we'll take it. We'll definitely take you as backup. So I get it, bro. His stock is really high, so that's why they picked him. It makes sense business wise. Obviously, it sucks for me, but I get why they did what they did, and I could sit here and be just like butthurt and angry about it, but I got a really tough guy in front of me, so I'm just gonna focus on him and then let the chips fall as they may.
It's a good attitude to have. I am curious though, when you were prepping, how much of your prep was focused on Mateusz Gamrot, and how much in the background were you sort of prepping for a Charles or an Islam? And would it have kind of made your life a little bit easier if you just knew a little bit earlier, hey, you're not the backup anymore, just you can focus 100% on Mateusz?
I would say the focus was always Mateusz. The I guess, what would I change? The only thing is, because as far as grappling goes, I think he's more similar to Islam as far as being wrestling heavy. The only thing, I was thinking if I do end up fighting Charles, I'd have to be able to push forward and push through. Like, you can't let a guy like Charles back you up. He's incredible when he's on offense. You got to keep him. You got to keep him guessing, and you got to keep him defensive. So it didn't really bother me too much, but I always did think like that. Like I can't be too defensive because fighting a guy like Gamrot or Islam, they use a lot of feints to get to the legs. They use a lot of feints to set up what they need to do. And in order to counter that, you have to be able to feint well too. And it's not so easy to walk them down. A guy like Charles is actually easier to walk down because everything he throws with honesty, I would say. Like he doesn't hide anything. He's just like, here's my left hook, here's my right cross, here's my kick. Like he doesn't hide anything. He's a berserker, which is super dangerous, but at the same time, it's easier to see.
Hey, I know you told RJ Clifford and Dean Thomas a few days ago that this is before you found out about Alex. He said he was supposed to be the fill-in, and you were sort of getting to the bottom of it. So, did the UFC sort of confirm things for you, or is it still something that you haven't actually heard from them?
No, they haven't really reached out to me. I spoke with my manager, and he kind of basically said it is what it is. And I was like, shit. Then I want to go home if it is what it is, kind of at the moment, because I was so pissed. But it's whatever, man. It's not the end of the world. ultimately, I just want to fight the best guys in the world. And there's a verse that always comes to mind: "The anger of man does not lead is not the righteousness of God. Like, does not lead to the righteousness of God." So like me being angry doesn't fix the situation. So I just had to cool down and relax, and that was how I approached it. And if I'm so angry about this, I'm going to lose focus on my opponent, who is, in my opinion, easily top 5. So I don't want to do that. I need to be focused on what I need to do.
So it's an interesting one. And by the way, like, it's such a great attitude, Beneil, because I know so many people would be so pissed off about the situation. I wonder though, like, obviously you're on this amazing win streak, and, not to discourage your opponent or anything, he's on a win streak as well, but, he's ranked lower than you. I imagine that a part of taking this fight for you was, hey, like, let me get on this card with the guys fighting for the title. Let me be the backup here. And then let me kind of like solidify my title shot after winning. So are you kind of bummed out from that perspective of, hey, this is all kind of messing with that as well? And if this was never going to be a part of it, do you think you might have even waited a little bit longer and seeing who else you could have fought instead?
Well, actually, my management and even my coach was like, "Why are we fighting this guy? He's we want to fight somebody ranked higher." But the issue with that is I'd have to wait, Lord knows how long, because the top 5 are not they're not very easy to get matched up with. I tried asking for Dustin Poirier, I tried asking for Chandler, and Islam and Charles are taken up, and then Justin Gaethje was going to be out till next year, and I was trying to fight this year. I was actually hoping to fight end of August, and I thought Dustin Poirier wanted to fight end of August. So I initially asked for Dustin Poirier, and I never heard anything back. So the reason why I took Mateusz was because he was the only one really available. And as far as the title goes, if I could have fought in August, I would have been the number 1 contender anyways. But really my focus was the fight. I'm losing my mind, man. I haven't fought in over a year, and it's starting to affect me.
Yeah. Okay, well, obviously we want to sort of move forward to more positive things, but like I have to ask, you as a fighter, I know that part of you is going to feel good just getting back in there after the injury and stuff, but your goal is the title. How do you feel when, it seems like Alex Volkanovski might be the number 1 contender, or he's kind of feeling like, hey, by being the backup, I'm solidifying myself as the next in line, and then you've got guys like, say, Dustin Poirier, for example, and even Mike Chandler talking about, hey, like, if we win in New York, like they feel like they're in that. And then you got Conor McGregor, who feels like he's getting a title shot when he comes back. How do you feel with all that kind of chatter and those guys, potentially talking about maybe being next?
As my profession, the belt is definitely something that I want. But ultimately, man, the way I look at life is I will get my crown from my Lord and Savior. That's how I look at life. That's who I will get my crown from, Jesus Christ. So that's kind of the mindset. And then as far as the belt goes, man, I just got to keep beating people up. It sucks, but at least if I have this mindset, it helps me stay calm and focused. These like, for me, a lot of this stuff is just drama, and this is just noise they're trying to make. Like the Chandler thing, bro. He knows he's not getting a title shot if he beats Dustin Poirier. It's like, bro, you just fought for the belt and lost. I think he's 2-2 in the UFC, and it's like, you gotta earn it, And the guy you beat lost to the champion as well. I don't know how they do math. Anyways, I don't think he's getting a title shot. I think Volk definitely, he's definitely in the argument, and if not, he was probably the front runner for that title shot. My only thing with Volkanovski getting the title shot is, bro, having 2 belts sounds awesome, but defending 2 belts is not the same thing. What I think would happen is it would really stall both divisions, and that's such a pain in the ass. We had Conor stalling the division for such a long time, and now it's going to be Volk. And I know he's an active fighter, but no matter how active you are, you got to be fighting every. What do you need to do? Probably like you would have to fight every 3 months in order to defend both belts like 2 times a year. And I'm sure he's capable of it, but there's these things called injuries and just, getting burnt out. I don't think he's going to be able to pull that off. So if he really does want to come to 55, just come to 55. If you win the belt, drop the 45 belt. That's my advice. If you want to do that, I'm more than happy to have him because, bro, I would love to fight this guy. He's amazing. And that's really all I want to do is I want to fight the best guys in the world.
Sorry, just quickly, you were systematically going through everyone, but you missed Conor. How would you feel if Conor came and got the shot? And what do you think that would do to the division?
Let's get this guy out of the conversation, man. He's not in title contention. And I know these guys all want to fight him, but like if they were to make a fight right now with Conor as a contender, I mean, it's like spitting in the face of everybody in the top 5 or top 10. It's a joke. The guy hasn't won a fight in 55 at 55 whatever. Did he even beat Cerrone at 55 or was it 170?
That was at 170. He beat Alvarez at 155.
What is that? 5 years ago?
It was a while ago. It was 2016. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah,
is he 205? Yeah.
Yeah, man. Nah, this guy like that would be the epitome of a clown show. Like I don't know how else to put it.
Hey, just before we move up, Alex, I just got to get your thoughts. If he does slot in as the backup here, I want to get your thoughts. How do you think he goes against Charles and Islam?
I think stylistically he'll do better with Charles because striking defense, Volk is actually amazing. I'm very, very, very impressed with his striking defense. And it would be really cool to see somebody like Charles Oliveira, who is an absolute, he's like all offense. When it comes, Charles is absolute offense all the time. Like there's no defense in his game, which would be cool to see against somebody like Volkanovski, who can take your defense, your offense, and then turn it into a counter. Would be cool to watch that. And then to see him against Islam, it would really be how good is his grappling, like how good is his takedown defense, and is he able to stop that, and is he able to figure out the puzzle as far as Islam goes in the stand up? Because Islam, people don't give him enough credit for his stand up. He has good stand up, but the thing is, it's very defensive, and it's a different defense than Volk because his focus is the takedown. He uses his striking. He uses all his feints. Everything he does is ultimately just to set up the takedown. He's he's a different puzzle. So I think Volkanovski would have a harder time with Islam, and he would definitely have a more exciting fight with Charles.
Yeah. Great analysis, Beneil. All right, I want to talk more about you. But just quickly, before we go any further, you guys already know Halloween's around the corner. Michael Myers is scary, but there's no reason for your balls to be hairy. Carve those pumpkins ahead of Halloween with Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0. Make sure your bite-sized treat turns into a king-size candy this year for Halloween with the Lawnmower 4.0. And don't worry about going all Freddy Krueger on your junk down there because it's got the skin-safe technology and the ceramic blade, the pound-for-pound greatest grooming tool in the world, and the Platinum Package 4.0 comes with lawnmower itself, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Ultra Premium body wash, the Ultra Premium 2-in-1 body shampoo and conditioner, the Ultra Premium deodorant, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant, super important, and the Crop Reviver ball spray toner. Almost like a respawn for your balls if you're on a date or at jits or doing whatever. And free gifts, boxes, and the Shed travel bag. The best gift this Halloween. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. Be a bit of a hellraiser and make us scream this Halloween thanks to Manscaped and the code word submission that gets you 20% off and free shipping today. And while you guys are saving money, how about making some money with my bookie? I'm just having a look at the odds here, Cass, for UFC 280. Of course, Beneil Dariush fighting Mateusz, and Mateusz minus 200. Beneil Dariush plus 155. What about Sean O'Malley versus Piotr Jan? O'Malley plus 225, Jan minus 303. Or the big main event, you got Islam Makhachev minus 185, Charles Oliveira plus 144. My bookie, the only place for you guys to go and make all of your bets. And of course, if you use the code word submission, you guys get 100% match deposit all the way up to $1,000. Go to MyBookie today and use that code word submission now.
That's right. And lastly, before we go back to Beneil, Beneil here literally only because of NordVPN. We were trying to call Beneil before the interview. It was choppy. It was terrible. Couldn't get his video going. He couldn't hear us. We couldn't hear him. We're messaging him. We're like, this interview scheduled. How do we do this? How do we get around it? NordVPN to the rescue. He needs a VPN because he's in Abu Dhabi and, you know, can't chat to the boys. So we gave him our login details and bang, you see the proof is in the pudding. He's here, crystal clear Skype video. It doesn't get any better. Anytime you're in a place which has geo blocking in place, maybe they don't let you watch Netflix. Maybe you're in China, you can't go on Facebook. Maybe you're in all sorts of places. NordVPN. I'm sure Beneil's computer right now thinks that he is in Australia or America or wherever. Can't go wrong. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. And it does get a little bit better for the listeners right now because you guys can get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 months right now by going to nordvpn.com/submission or clicking the link in the description below. This deal won't last forever and it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So click it right now and experience that Nord power for yourself.
That's right. How are you going to watch the pay-per-view if you're in a place which won't even let you watch the fights? NordVPN, that's how. All right. Beneil, just going back to you, man, because you've had a crazy story. You mentioned before how, you know, you're itching to get back in there after the injury that you suffered, a broken leg, no less. I'm just curious, how's it going to feel for you to get back in here all this time? And what was that period like for you, you know, being on the sidelines? And what are some of the changes that you've been sort of working on in that downtime that, you know, you're hoping to show in this fight against Mateusz Gamrot? What has it been like for you?
Well, I mean, I worked a lot of grappling for when I was supposed to fight Islam, and then 10 days out, I broke my leg, and I had to kind of pick myself off. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty depressed from that. So my wife really helped, my daughter really helped. You know, I got a 16-month-old at home, and she was great because, like, you know, she doesn't care if you're moping around or if you're sad. She's just like, hey, pick me up, take me outside, walk the dogs, do this and do that. You know, once somebody forces you to start moving and not just lay around and be depressed all day, you have no choice but to get up. Even with a broken leg, she didn't care. She's like, hey, get up. I want to do this. I want to do that. So that actually helped a lot. Mentally and spiritually, that helped a lot. So that helped me a lot. And just as soon as I was able to get back into the gym, I got right back in, got back to wrestling, got back to my striking practices. And man, I was so happy when I could finally spar. Like being able to get back inside the gym, but not just to drill, because I was getting so sick of drilling. I mean, I enjoy drilling. I enjoy getting new techniques and getting better. But man, at the end of the day, like I want to hurt somebody. That's why I signed up for this, you know? So my favorite thing, I always tell people, my favorite thing in competition is to get into a fight and to push somebody. And they're good, sometimes even better than you. But if you can just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then you finally chip away and break them, that's my favorite. Like breaking somebody is my favorite thing in competition. And my wife thinks I'm a madman for this. She thinks I'm absolutely crazy. I genuinely enjoy that. So that's why I really like fighting, I think. That's why fighting works for me. And so I was able to get back into sparring. I was so happy. Like just being able to get on the mat to grapple or to do some striking. That was the best. So it sucked in the beginning to get back in, but once the ball started moving, it was amazing.
It's actually interesting because obviously terrible situation, and it was really hard for you to get through. It's great that your 16-month-old helped with that. I got a 9-month-old as well, and it definitely gets you off whatever you're thinking and makes you sort of pick them up and do whatever you have to do. But also, it's in a weird way, like you got another appreciation and a break from fighting. And then when you came back, you had that excitement about it, like you did, sort of, because I know sometimes it can be a bit of a grind when you're always in the gym and you kind of lose some of that excitement for it. So it's exciting to get that back going into this fight. So I wonder, though, Benny, like with Mateusz, you were saying how tough he is. He's on this 4-fight win streak himself. What do you think is sort of one of the trickiest things about him to prepare for UFC 280?
Trickiest things. I think one thing he does is he changes gears in between rounds and in the rounds. Like you'll see him kind of like slowing down, and then out of nowhere he picks it back up. So you're like, oh man, he's slowing down, he's tired, and then boom, he turns it back on, and he's able to push the pace again and start grappling or start throwing. That's something you can only have with experience. So you can tell he has a lot of experience. Obviously, not a lot of fights in the UFC, but he's got a ton of experience outside the UFC. I think it's called KSW. He fought for KSW, so he had some fights there too, 5-round fights. So the things he does, they're very. He's a veteran. That's the best way to put it. So I think that's going to be one of the toughest things to be ready for is. When I'm putting pressure on him, knowing genuinely when he's actually tired and actually breaking, instead of just he's kind of playing possum and waiting for an opportunity.
Man, it's crazy. I feel like sometimes when people are on win streaks, it's almost like there's this delayed appreciation. Like sometimes they get a streak going, people are like, oh, okay, let's see. Then they beat some names and people are almost like, oh, I don't know, but was it a matter of circumstance or this and that? And then by the time you look back, there's this massive appreciation, like, oh my God, look at all the names and wins that this guy has on his record. So I'm wondering, like, you're on number 7. I think you're at that point where people appreciate you. But when, assuming all goes well, you make it number 8 on this massive card. What do you think it sort of does for you? What do you think it says about you also in relation to the division, Beneil?
You know what's funny with me? I don't know what it is, but like, no matter who I beat, they're like, yeah, he should have beat that guy. He was supposed to beat that guy. And I'm like, what? I don't know what I got to do. Or like, they're like, I don't know about this guy. He looks like he's 50. So like, so I honestly don't know. Like, I feel like after I beat this guy, they're going to be like, I don't know about this guy. This Mateusz Gamrot. No, he wasn't tested. Something like that. It's going to be something like that. That's what I think is going to happen because, when I fought, the second time I fought Diego Ferreira, he was like, he hadn't lost in like 6 years. He was going through like the Dagestani guys and the Chechenian guys. He beat like a bunch of good guys. And, he had his big win as far as names go with Pettis. And then I went and fought him, and I remember beating him, and people kind of were like, oh, Dariush, I can't believe he pulled this off. And then like a couple of months later, they're like, Diego's washed up. Did you see that? He lost to this guy and lost to that guy. It blows my mind, man. And then same thing with Tony Ferguson. After I beat Tony, they're like, oh, Tony's washed up. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna beat Mateusz and see what happens. I'm genuinely waiting to see when people are gonna be like, "Oh, Dariush is legit. We gotta pay attention to him."
I love your attitude, man. Like your energy is just contagious. You're so just like jovial about everything. You're just like, yeah, whatever. But but that's what I mean, right? Like if you were to become champion, I think then people would be like, "Oh shit, look at all the guys that he beat." On his way up there, and it's almost like Charles Oliveira, right? Like Charles was beating all these guys. He had the same narrative. It was like, oh, wait until he, someone breaks him. It was like, oh, Dustin's going to break him. Then he beat Dustin. And then people are like, oh, but Gaethje's the guy. And then he beat Gaethje, and Chandler, et cetera, et cetera. Do you feel like it's kind of similar? And what do you think is got to happen for you to finally get that respect?
I think it's kind of the same. I got to just keep beating people until there's no more doubters. I think that's really it. I think here's what I think is going to happen. I think I'm going to beat Mateusz. Hopefully they give me a title shot, but probably not. So what I'll do is I'll fight another high-ranked guy, beat him, and then I'll probably get a title shot. Well, maybe. Who knows? I get it. Like, I'm not a fan favorite, so it's not like that easy for me to get a title shot. But no problem. Then I'll probably get a title shot, and then whoever's champion at that time, I'll smash them, and then people will be like, maybe. That's they'll start looking at me like possibly, and then I'll defend the belt a few times, and then I'll be like, okay, fine, he's good. Like, I think that's what
Oh man, no, that definitely sounds plausible. Hey man, before we get sort of your prediction on your fight, I just want to get your thoughts. Do you think there's going to be any problems with Charles making weight for this one? Do you foresee this fight actually coming together, or do you actually still believe that maybe there's a chance there is a need for a backup here?
I think Charles will be fine. I think Charles will make weight. I think Islam will make weight. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure Charles made weight last time. Like,
yeah.
The whole thing was really weird. A similar thing happened to me in Texas, actually, when Charles was on the card too, and I think he had the same issue. So we had digital scales. The UFC had digital scales. I got on the scale, 156. They're like, okay, get on the commission scale. I got on the athletic commission scale, 156.4. Like, what? And the guy was like doing this with it. I was like, dude, quit messing with it. Just put it on the 156 and get away from it. Like,
they don't know how to do it, do they? Like, it's like, dude, you have one job. It's like they just stand there and they look so confused. We're all just sitting there watching them.
It's not rocket science. These guys, they honestly, in my opinion, they just want to be part of the show. Like, they want to be part of the show. So the guy's like doing this, like, no, dude, don't touch it. It's already where it's supposed to be. Like, you're a grown man. Just get away, And anyways, I think it was one of those deals. So I think Charles will make weight fine. He's never really missed weight for 155. I know he missed weight for 145, but bro, he's a big boy for 45. I can't believe he even made 45.
Yeah. All right. We'll get out of your hair because I know it's your day off here, Beneil, but we're loving chatting with you. As we let you go, how do you see yourself getting it done? UFC 280 against Mateusz Gamrot.
I'm gonna get a finish. Probably. I don't know if this is going to be a submission or a knockout, but I'll finish him. And the 3 rounds, I'll finish him.
All right. Well, hopefully there's no older ladies or older men in the crowd just calling you over in the middle of the fight, asking you to take photos with them, and you can get this thing done. Guys, make sure to follow the man at Beneil Dariush on Instagram. Man, a great follow and so much great content. I look forward to seeing what happens on the night. You run out to the cage after you get this win. Cash in your money in the bank after the main event happens, and cash in this title shot, hopefully. But regardless, man, it's a great fight and one of the most exciting fights on the night. So really excited to see you back, dude. And thank you so much for staying up to speak with us. It really means a lot.
And logging into our NordVPN and everything, making it work.
I'm not giving that back, by the way. I'm going to change the password.
Damn.
Don't look at the browsing history.
Yeah.
There is one.
Thanks.
Yeah. I really appreciate you having me. I had a good time. And honestly, I need to stay up anyway. So you guys were a big help.